everybody, you're very welcome to today's hip rehab class. For this class you're going to need a chair, a mat and a bit of wall space. For our first exercise, you have your chair and just give yourself enough space so that we can hinge forward from the hips. You're standing hip width apart and parallel with the feet. That's the size of 2 fists between your feet for your own personal hip distance relative to your own bone size. Feet are parallel, so our second toe traces through the middle of the kneecap for the tracking of our knees. So that's our starting position with the feet. Give yourself enough space so that you have to reach for the chair and you're putting the heel of your hand onto whatever support you have from the chair. Relax your shoulders. We want to make sure that our ankles are underneath our knees, underneath our hips, just so we're not too far forwards or backwards. So stack the bones on top of each other and get that power down through the legs. So ankles underneath knees, underneath hips, reach forward to the chair. It's the bottom of the palm of your hand onto the chair and you're going to let your head hang through. Press into the feet so you feel some recruitment through the leg muscles into your bum muscles. You can let the head hang through, but try and get the rib cage a little closer together. So scoop and knit the ribs so there's some support for your back. We're going to hold this for 30 seconds. This is going to help us to disengage the shoulders if they are compensating, running through those lines of the body, annoying the hip alignment potentially. It's going to help with the feedback from the ankle knee hip connection. And it's going to help us to load down through the feet, through the bones. We're loading through this nice aligned position. So make sure you're not rotating. You have the feedback from the chair. Head is hanging and you're working through the feet. So from now, let's start 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, and 21. Push the chair away so that we can round the back and come up to a standing position, relaxing that out of your body. Up next, just make sure you have some padding for your back. It could be towels, blankets, or an exercise mat, and your chair. To start this position, you're lying on the mat with your legs onto the chair. Relax your shoulders. So we want a 90-degree angle behind the knees or a little bit wider. So if you're taller, maybe put a pillow underneath your legs on the chair. So we just don't want the knees to be above the ankles. So knees in line with the ankles or a little bit higher is okay. You're allowing your back to relax. Our palms are going to face up and then relax the arms down onto the floor. Release your back down through the mat and just let go. This is going to help to settle our hips, release the muscles that are maybe compensating or interfering with the gait of the foot and the ankle. So it's all connected, and just let your back relax through the mat. As you breathe, you want to feel the rise and fall of your diaphragm. Our mid-spine, the thoracic spine, there's so much nerve activity there. There's so many places for the nerves to run through, our facet joints, connecting our shoulders to our hips and all the messages going back and forth. So we really want the breathing to help to massage that area. So big breath in, big breath out. Big breath in. Big breath out. So even though we're relaxing here, the pelvis is really the center of the body. So it's above our knees and our ankles. We know how much function there is there. It's below the shoulders. The pelvis has conversations up and down the chain all day long. So we want to release here as much as possible. It's so strong, so powerful, possibly so stubborn if there is a misalignment. So we want to be able to let go as well as to work it. Some of the exercises coming up are going to be a little more challenging from a stamina perspective or potentially a strength perspective. This is a little more relaxing, so enjoy it while you can. Keep breathing through the center of the body. And you can hold this position for 5 to 10 minutes. We're not going to do the whole 10 minutes today, but you can stay here for 5 to 10 minutes. Our goal is to tap into the alignment through the whole body. Misalignment has a knock-on effect up, down, across, around, obliquely, through all the chains in the body. If we think of the ball and socket joint, we have our synovial fluid, the joint fluid, the synovium. If there's a misalignment through the body, that area can overproduce that synovium. So the fluid is produced out of proportion to the rest of the body. It's allowed to produce in that quantity to protect the body, so swelling is not a bad thing. But if we continue to work on top of the misalignment that caused the creation of that extra fluid, that fluid gets a bit thicker and a bit milkier. So then underneath scans or tests, it's as if there's swelling in the joint. And maybe we hear words like arthritis, inflammation, swelling, and we try to protect the joint with less movement. We're here today doing these exercises because our doctor or our physio has given us the go-ahead to do so. We always want to rule out things with our x-rays, with our scans, with the experts seeing us in person. So if all of that is okay, then we just want to work on alignment through the body, prevention for the future, get all of this movement, range of motion back. A big part of that is going to be releasing the body as well. So we're going to just get all of that fluid moving, get your body processing it, get the alignment back so it's not over-created again in the future, get that feeling of tightness, of congestion, get that all away, allow your movement to come back. I'll have that full range of motion in the joints. On day 2, we're going to work a lot more on rotation and circles. So keep relaxing, remember to keep breathing even as I'm speaking here. We want our body to let go, let the back go through the mat. Your feet are supported and the pelvis is heavy through the ground. So now our brain doesn't have to think about the stacking of our knees above our ankles, of our hips above our knees, of our shoulders above our hips. Instead, we can just allow the muscles to release here before we start to train them. So just take another few deep breaths. And when you're ready, you can slowly come away from this position. For the next exercise, we don't need the chair, we only need the mat. Coming into a lunge position. We're all here for different reasons and maybe the hips are more tender for some than with others. So feel free to put an extra towel or a yoga block or anything you want underneath your back knee if you need to be higher up, if you need more padding. I'm on top of a carpet and a very thick mat, so that's enough for me, but do adjust it if you need to for yourself. So to start with, I'm going to give myself a big stretch here, but you can decide how far away the back knee is, so it's whatever suits you. We're bringing both hands inside the knee and relaxing the shoulders. You want your big toe to stay glued to the ground no matter what the knee does. So we're not going to allow the foot to move. Push your foot down into imaginary cement. Cover it over, it's stuck to the ground. And now we're going to get loads of movement from the knee into the outside of the hip. We're going to use this hand to just start circling. It sounds really simple, but trying to keep your foot fully on the ground while you circle into the hip, you can feel all of the kind of sticky areas in the ankle-knee-hip connection responding to that. We're trying to exaggerate the rotation. So we're really trying to recruit piriformis and glute medius, our external hip rotators, but they're finding a hard time getting involved here because the big toe is staying down, and we want that. We want to challenge the messages into there. We want to loosen it all up. We're still loading through the ankle, so there's this closed chain feedback through the ankle, into the knee, into the hip. Obviously, you're doing the amount of movement that suits you, and maybe you're propped up. Maybe you have a prop, an extra mat or a yoga block underneath the front foot or the back knee, so you can adjust so that you can achieve this position. So you're really trying to stir into the hip. Let's reverse the direction. Maybe we hit on some opposite tissues, some different tissues that maybe feel sticky in other ways. Just explore it. Let your brain explore the movements as well. The more connected we can get, mind-body connection, the more feedback we're getting through the nervous system, the more we're going to connect through our body and reinforce all of these pathways working together. So you're keeping the foot down even though it really wants to peel at some points of this rotation. We feel as if the hip is starting to work now as well as release, so we feel the muscles getting involved. Keep circling into the hip. When you're finished the circle that you're on, you're going to focus on the foot almost falling inwards, so the inside line of the foot, and just gently tease the knee outward with your hand or maybe the side of your elbow, again whatever suits you. And let's just tease it, feeling whatever is sticky in the hip, creating space, but also loads of feedback and stability through the foot and the ankle. Just getting into anywhere that's a little bit stuck in the hip, listening to the knee, so only going as far as you're comfortable with this. Maybe you want to go a little bit bigger. Maybe we feel like we can even further exaggerate these lines. So maybe do close the space with the external hip rotators a little bit more and just see how it feels to work on this. Keep breathing. Now that that's warm, our brain is really connected into the stability of the ankle. Now we're going to allow the outside blade of the foot to be down, the inside up, and then just tease the knee out further. Make sure that you're supporting yourself with the opposite side of your body. So again, this feels a little more like exercise than our first two hip release movements. And just tease it. Again, feel anywhere that's sticky. Can you think about getting your belly button closer to the knee? That's going to really ask the head of the femur for a bit of space here in the ball and socket. So we're rotating. Again, we touched on how the mid-spine affects all the way that the nerves run up and down the chain. Now when we're asking for rotation, your goal, it doesn't happen, but we're thinking about the belly button getting to the knee. We get that twist, we get this big opening in the outside of the hip, only going as far as you're comfortable with. The body's telling you things all the time, so we just decide to listen in. Now gently come out of it. You want to place the foot down again so our brain connects to the big toe, so we're not so dominant in the outside of the foot. Just relax the shoulders. Let's very gently lengthen and shorten the back of the leg, just creating some space into the hamstrings. We can feel where the hamstring attaches into the glute. Everything working in towards the pelvis and from the pelvis and around the pelvis. We're feeling better connected through the hips. So we're going to let go of this foot. Let's do the same on the second side. Take your time. So maybe you need to move around some extra props, extra padding under the knee or the front foot so that you can achieve this position. Maybe it's quite tight to be in a lunge and then you need to adjust it. Maybe you're happy to go deeper into it. As long as you're listening to the body, we want to make sure we're able to stack and move through the ankle. So remember, we started with the foot completely glued to the ground, and the hand can help you stir into the hip. You have some power into the back hip and the hand that's supporting you. Also quite a lot of weight down into the big toe, the inside line of the foot. And we're really trying to move through anything that feels a bit sticky, trying to create some space and explore that joint, that ball and socket joint. Keep breathing, stirring into the hip. We're trying to exaggerate the rotation at the hip. We can't really get in there fully because of our foot position, but we want to challenge the brain to think a little further, to pause and ask for more length from the hip while the foot is glued to the ground. Maybe the circles are big enough that you feel length through the hamstrings and the inner thigh as you circle. Let's get ready to swap direction. Even though it's still a circle at the hip, that different direction gives us a lot of different feedback through the body. Maybe it feels easier, maybe it feels stickier. Firing with a different muscle first and a different range has a different reaction through the body. So keep breathing. Get loads of movement into the hip. Stirring like a spoon stirring into a pot. Get really deep into the corners of it. Challenge how far the knee will come in and out as long as your foot is glued and the toes really do want to come away from the ground, but we're being strict on that. You can finish on the circle that you're on. You're going to think about favoring the inside line of the foot and just teasing the knee out. Keep the foot in contact with the mat, with the floor. We've also got awareness into the back leg. Relax the shoulders, pushing the floor away, get a bit taller through the spine, and you're just teasing out. The foot wants to lift, but we're going to leave it down for the moment. Keep breathing. Now you're going to press the knee out, allow the foot to peel. So you're on the outside blade of the foot, just gently tease the knee outward. And we're thinking about getting our belly button towards the knee. That rotation asks a lot through the hip flexor of the back leg, through the mid spine, through the external hip of our front leg. Try and get the belly button closer to the knee. Keep breathing. The foot can be further down if that feels more supported. Belly button towards the knee. Come back, go to the outside blade of the foot if you had modified there, and just gently tease it out. You're going to place the foot down again, bring the fingertips either side, let your brain process that you're pushing through the full foot, the big toe especially, and then just gently lengthen and shorten. So we just feel the hamstrings getting a little more involved. Keep breathing, inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Those exercises helped us to open up the glute where it attaches into the IT band. So we're making sure to just hit all different areas and different roots around the hip. So whenever you're ready, you can let that go. We're going to use the mat again and our little bit of wall space. So pull your mat right up against the wall so we have padding underneath the knees. Some of us will have more or less space with our knee to the wall. Here's what we want to achieve for the first exercise. We're going to point the toes so we're getting nice length through that anterior fascia, that front line of the body. We have the other leg here for support, and we don't want to create a banana shape in the back. So you scoop your belly, knit your ribs together. When you do that, you find that you can squeeze the bum cheek ever so slightly. If you're comfortable, the knee goes all the way into the wall, but that doesn't suit all of us straight away on the first class, especially if our hips are tight. So maybe you're a little bit further away. So choose your knee position. We're allowing the hands and the bottom leg to support us, but we're not forgetting about the back. So scoop your belly and knit your ribs. You're going to drive your knee down into the ground. So see how important that back position is here. If you had a banana shape, trying to drive the knee down would access the wrong muscles, and it's a lot harder to get any force through the knee. So scoop your belly, knit your ribs. It takes loads of pressure out of the shoulders, even though we're still getting this nice gentle bone bearing through the wrists. And now you're going to drive the knee down into the ground. You can use your full strength or you can work it up slowly. See how it feels through the quad muscles, through the glute muscles. Press the knee down. We're going to press down and hold for 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. Keep breathing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let it go. So now just kind of tease that area, drive the knee down, let it go, drive the knee down, let it go. We're getting ready for another 20 seconds. Scoop the belly, knit the ribs, relax the shoulders, drive the knee down through the ground. We're not so worried about the toes pressing into the wall. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. Use the abs. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release, press. Connect to the rib cage when you do that. Release and press. You can continue this position for another 2 rounds if you like. Otherwise, our goal is to come into this lunge position. The back knee can be closer or further away from the wall. And it's okay if your front knee is tracking further than the toes, as long as you feel some power through the heel. Relax your shoulders. Again, we don't want to just banana shape the back here, so scoop your belly, knit your ribs. Now we've a lot more force down through the feet. You should feel like you can get into the glutes, into the abs, and knit your ribs together a bit more. So you're going to drive your knee down through the ground. Here's why we need loads of padding underneath the knee. So just make sure that you're listening to your body. Have towels, blankets, have an extra mat, whatever suits you. So when you're ready, let's press it down. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Breathe in and breathe out. Just let it go. Now drive it down and let it go. We're really working through any stubborn tissue here in the hip. Drive it down and let it go. We have another 20 seconds here. Scoop through the core, knit your ribs. Push down through the knee. So drive the knee down through the layers. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, strength through the knee, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let it go. Keep breathing. So drive and let go, drive and let go, really accessing that tissue there, anything that's stubborn through the connective tissue. We have a third position. If it doesn't suit you, stick with this first one. We're going to come into this high lunge, and this is where we don't want to forget about the rib cage. You scoop the belly and knit the ribs. So we already feel our rectus femoris, the quad that crosses both joints, the knee and the hip. Tuck the tailbone, scoop your belly, knit your ribs, relax the shoulders. You're pushing down through the knee. This is a deeper stretch. So we're going to push for 4 seconds, then we're going to really slowly release. You're going to press through the knee, that's your challenge, the direction, and then you're going to really gently release. So there's a little let go with the pelvis. Relax your shoulders, use the shoulders less, anchor through the knee and the front foot, mostly that knee. So press 4, 3, 2, 1, slowly release. Press 4, 3, 2, 1, slowly release. 2 more. Press 4, 3, 2, 1, slowly release. Once more, push down through the knee. 2, 1, and slowly release. Bring the hands forward, just gently lengthen and shorten with the front leg. We're going to press away from the wall. You can take your time. When you come to standing, this leg feels so free. The hip feels so free compared to the other one. And take a moment for your nervous system to process that before we swap sides. Getting ready for the second side. First of all, now the leg we were using gets to relax down. Second leg up against the wall. Get your knee as close to the wall as you're comfortable with. Relax the shoulders down. We check in with the back, even though it's our knee we're focusing on. We'll get more power if we can access the abs and get rid of the rib flare. So relax the shoulders, scoop through the core, knit the ribs, push down through the knee. So we're focusing mostly on that back knee. So we're getting into the power of the quads. So we want to use and release, create a strain, counter strain through the body, create that rehab for the hips. You're pressing 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. Keep breathing. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Less with the hands, more with the knee. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let it go. Press it down. Can you feel the glutes slightly, the front of the hip? Let it go. Press it down, getting power through the knee. It might be easier one side than the other. And let it go. And we're getting ready for our next round. Scoop the belly, knit the ribs, power down through the knee, and you have loads of options as to your position to make sure we can access that. So 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. Deep breaths. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let it go. Now power down through the knee and release. Power down through the knee and release. Power down through the knee and release. Repeat that if you like. Position 2, we release the knee forward. It may take you a moment longer to decide that maybe we want to move the back knee further or closer, depending on how this feels. And loads of padding for that patella, so just make sure that we have comfort there for the back knee. Fingertips either side, relax the shoulders. Make sure that you're not just collapsing forward here. Scoop your belly, knit the ribs. We want to be able to access the power in the muscles to press through the knee. And you can build this up and repeat this class if you like, so you don't have to go fully into everything on day 1. Press down through the knee. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Deep breaths through the body. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just release it. Press down through the knee and release. might be kind of sticky, closer to the knee or closer to the hip. That's what we're trying to discover, explore, and gently release today. Press down and release. And like everything, Rome wasn't built in a day. Maybe we repeat this for a few days and then feel the full effects. You'll feel an exercise sensation as well as a release. So we are working the muscles. You might feel like you've done a bit of a workout after today, as well as the hips feeling better. So you really want to see how it feels over the course of 1 to 2 to 3 days. And you can repeat this with the days running consecutively if you like, so there's no pressure. You can choose to repeat this position. Otherwise, we're going to come up into a high lunge. This is deeper. We don't want to banana the back, so scoop the belly, knit the ribs, relax the shoulders. We're not really using the hands, they're just there. So there's a place for them to go. Press down through the back knee. There's a gentle tuck from the tailbone. You're going to power down for 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly come out of it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Tuck the tailbone, power down. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then gently release it, going through the degrees of that pressure. Tucking the tailbone, pressing down through the knee. 3, 2, 1, and slowly releasing it. Once more, tucking the tailbone, power down through the knee. 4, 3, 2, 1, and gently release. Fingertips either side. Let's lengthen and shorten. It might feel a little bit stiff, maybe you feel like it's released already. And then we slowly come out of this position. Make sure you come to standing, so we're loading through the chains that we were just working, and let it relax out of the hips. There should be a load of freedom in the hips. Maybe we're getting sensation through the knees after loading through them, so just please have enough padding, especially if you're repeating this class. You'll notice that your hips are already feeling nice and open, a little more than when we started, but let's continue. We're going to go back to a counter stretch just to make sure we keep getting into lengthening the hamstrings and loading through the chains. So we're trying to reinforce healthy patterns here and bring our alignment back towards neutral. So our pelvis again can have conversations up the chain to the shoulders and down the chain through the knees and the ankles as well. So if you want to grab your chair again and get rid of your mat, we'll do counter stretch. So for your counter stretch, hip width apart and parallel with the feet, ankles under knees under hips, heels of the palms onto your surface. Make sure you're not leaning too far forwards or backwards. We're loading down into the ankles. Scoop through the core, knit the ribs, but let your head hang so the shoulder blades may come together slightly. We're allowing the shoulders to disengage, releasing them from any compensatory roll, the messages that they send into the hips. We're reinforcing the firing through the hips, knee and ankle connection, loading through the bones and stretching through the posterior chain from the arches of our feet, up along the legs, up along the back to the crown of the head, into the face muscles as well. It's all connected. Let the upper body hang, but make sure that you have integrity through the legs. So feel your bum muscles. Use the legs, just don't go to failure in the muscles. So don't squeeze, 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 but feel the sensation of recruiting the legs, so your calves, hamstrings and glutes. We're a little more detailed than the start of the class. Let the head hang. Maintain that organization from the legs up into the hips. And we're going to hold for 30, 29, 28, 27. Keep breathing. 25, 24, 23. Stretch the fingers forward. 22, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, equal with the feet, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You can just tuck your tailbone and scoop the core and roll up, or maybe you want to let the body hang first and then roll up from the floor. Maybe you feel a bit more open. Relax the shoulders, feel that connection through the hips. Up next, you could just balance on the floor if you like, or you can use your mat again. Get rid of your chair. So all we're asking of this position, if you think of a gentle lunge, is that your knee is behind your glute. Your knee is behind your butt. So just make sure we're not here. You're bringing it back. All of your toes are in contact with the floor. We're focusing mostly on the back leg. We're going to tap into balance as well as loading through the chains here. So we're going to gently lift the top heel. You're not going into a ballet type foot or a big calf raise. You're just floating the heel of your foot. So it really challenges our balance. Think about ever so softly internally rotating this hip, or in other words, just bringing the knee a little bit further underneath the line of the spine, so rather than out to the side, just connect into the hip. Think about the inner thigh. Relax the shoulders. Your hands could be in front or on the hips. We get rid of a banana back, so scoop the belly, knit the ribs. Keep breathing. We're holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, for 4. Think of the back foot more. 2, and 1. Lower the foot down. If you need, that front foot can go down, but again, challenge your balance. So we're working on balance, hip extension, and loading. You're tucking the tailbone, knitting the ribs together so you can use the bum muscles. If you were to let go, we can go further forward with that hip extension, but instead, you're gonna scoop the belly, knit the ribs. Now think about squeezing the bum more on this one. So get into the glutes. That position will help you. Hopefully we're really challenging our balance by lifting that front heel off the ground. 10, 9, squeezing the bum, pushing to the back toes. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let it go. Let's get ready for the second side. So you can come to standing, swap it over. All you want for this start position is that the knee is further back than your bum. Come into that gentle lunge. All of the back toes are in contact with the ground. Push into your big toe with the front foot and gently float the heel. We don't want to flare the ribs, so you're knitting the ribs together. It stops you from going too far forward. And we're just thinking about balance for this first one. Keep breathing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Think about the back foot more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Press it up, getting ready for round 2 where we focus on the bum muscles. Come back down into that gentle lunge. Softly float the front heel. Put your weight into the back toes. Tuck your tailbone, scoop your belly, knit your ribs. As you knit your ribs, you can access your bum muscles. Keep squeezing the bum for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Woo! Press it up to standing. Bring the legs in. Just relax it out. We feel deeply connected through the hip muscles, even though we feel all of that activity through the legs as well. For our final exercise, we're going to return to our static back. So we need our chair and our mat. So if you want to get that ready. So we'll get into position again. Your legs are over the chair. Just make sure that your knees are in line with your ankles, or the ankles can be slightly higher. We just don't want the knees to be higher than the ankles. Not a problem for me, but if you're a taller person, it may be for you. Palms face upward, anatomical neutral for the arms. It just ever so slightly shifts the humeral head to the ball and socket joint, creating a little bit more space at the end of the collarbone. While I talk here, do deep breaths so you can release all of the muscles around your hips. That extra space at the end of your collarbone is going to help with the flow of hormones, so through the end of the collarbone, through the armpit, the happy hormones from the brain. So it's a nice open position for the body. It relaxes the sympathetic nervous system. Away from this urge we have to protect our internal organs and feel more comfortable by covering this space, you open out. There's nice mind-body space being created here. Relax your shoulders, let your back melt through the ground. Release your back. In this position, our brain doesn't have to guess about stacking. It's not guessing where the knees are, where the ankles are, where the pelvis is. For one side of your pelvis to flex, the other side has to extend. So there's this constant movement through the pelvis, through the back, through the rib cage, opposing forces at work, complementing forces at work. Now we get to relax all of that. Melt your back through the ground. Release any potentially compensating muscles through the body and just let your back relax through the ground. A simple position to be in, but we could go weeks or months or years without spending proper time here and being focused on what we're doing. So just breathing fully, the diaphragm, massaging our mid-spine, the facet joints in the mid-spine and all of the nerve roots, down the spine into our hips, down through the legs, up the spine into our shoulders, into our neck, into our face, down into the arms. It's all connected. Our anchor is the breath. You're doing a scan of your body to make sure that you're not accidentally tensing one side of the body. So a foot, a hand, a shoulder, face muscles, leg muscles. Keep scanning to let go. As well as all the toning benefits we got from some of the positions that seem more like an exercise, more like a challenge, those slow twitching muscle fibers, those postural fibers at play, we also want to release. So strain, counter strain, all the elastic in the body, all of that potential to hydrate all the tissues, so we access and let go, create space. So this exercise is just as important as any of the ones where we're firing quite a lot. So keep breathing and relaxing through the floor. Relax your feet and your toes. Your ankles are relaxed. Inside the kneecaps are relaxed. Your pelvis is heavy, grounding you through the mat. Backs of the shoulders are really heavy, melting you down, pulling you down through the mat, through the floor. Imagine the arms weigh a lot more than they do. It anchors you down through the ground. In response to all of that grounding, the face muscles relax. Let the muscles around your jaw and your scalp relax, your eyelids, your eyebrows. Keep breathing. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly come out of this position. It's important that we load down through the feet again to finish. So you're just going to gently come to a standing position in whatever way that suits you. Just make sure you feel the feet, the knees, the ankles and the hips, and then you can let it go. Thank you so much for joining me for this hip rehab. Each day is going to be quite different from the last. So you might find one day resonates with you and maybe you want to repeat that day and you get the most out of it. Otherwise, the days are also designed to complement each other. So day 2, we're going to focus on rotation and circling in the hip. Some of us may find we need that mostly to counteract sagittal plane movements and seated for massive portions of the day. So it's whatever suits you. Try all 4 days, repeat the ones that you like, the ones that feel good, or use them as a course. So day 1, 2, 3 and 4, let them build on each other. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here and taking one of my classes, and I'll see you on our next class.